All right, everybody. We've been doing some amazing things around Harpham's restorations. All right, well, maybe not amazing, but look at that. Starting to really look like a forklift again. Got the driveline and transmission in and a bunch of other stuff. So stick around and be dazzled. All right, well, whatever. Okay, here's a small little job I had to do. This is a micro brake lock. If you're not familiar with it, basically you push a button, apply the brakes, and release, and it locks the brakes up so the forklift won't roll or move. This was just covered in gunk. I'll be honest with you, I don't know if it worked before I took it apart. Everything seems to be okay when I get done here, or probably hook it up. And basically all it is a solenoid. There's a standard brake sensing unit, and when you step on the brake, it pushes this little guy out and uh, freezes the brake fluid so it can't move one way or the other. I completely disassembled it. I didn't plan on completely disassembling it, but it turned out that way. Cleaned it all up, got some crud off of this, the little piston, and basically it goes back together fairly easy. This just pushes in there. This spring goes in here. Actually, our weight put that on when I tightened down the other side. This copper washer goes on here. This slides in here. Then the long spring goes in there. The little short spring goes in here. And then this side hopefully screws in here. I'll tighten that up here in just a second. Then this end goes in here. I'll tighten all these up here. And then I got two brake fittings that I'm going to replace. One of them I kind of crunched, so I'm just going to, but they go in here. And then the sensor will go in there. And that's, I believe, one end goes in here and the other end goes to the wiring harness. Or double check on that. But there's that all cleaned up and ready to put back on. Okay, I put it all back together as you saw. Went over and tested it, and it didn't work. That's when I realized, and actually I set it aside and thought, well, maybe I'll check it once I put it back in the system. Then I got to thinking about it. The piston, that wasn't moving. So I came back over, took it apart, wire brushed that, cleaned that out. Now I have a piston that works. So I'm going to put it back together, and I'm also going to replace that copper washer with a different one. I thought that was the piston. It's just actually a copper bushing of some kind. So we'll put this all back together. Oh, I thought I was looking at something wrong. And we'll go hook her up to the battery. See if it works this time. I've been spending some time on some of the small stuff. Here's the 6-volt voltage regulator. Clean that up, clean the contacts up, powder coated the top, wire brushed the base. So that one's ready to go back together. Or do the same here with the horn relay. I've got the cap all cleaned up. Need to find some of those. I lost one on the voltage regulator too, or see what I can find or make or whatever. But that's about all you can see. I need to clean the contact on there, but otherwise I do believe it does work. So we'll get that all wire brushed and cleaned up too. I had the hydraulic spool valve cleaned up and repainted. I took some pictures or video of it before, but lost them. But essentially, I ended up replacing a whole bunch of seals, O-rings, and I had to make 2 gaskets for this. I did end up replacing this because I boogered up this. I backed it out a little bit so I could clean back here. Then I couldn't get it to go back, so went to Napa and got a new fitting, fit perfect. And that's about all there is to these. It is kind of interesting. These are made to be able to be ganged together. So uh, they're a Vickers CM11 series, which they still make a variation of this. And depending on the number of valves you needed, you could stack them together. Obviously, this has just got 2, one for the lifting up the hoist and one for tilting the hoist. So that is ready to go and be put back on. That's about all I can say about that. So I'll show you some other stuff. Okay, what do you think? You think we can get this lined up? Alrighty. She's back together now. So the next thing we do we get it put back in that. Okay, it's time to put this back in the truck after a couple of years. See if we can do this without totally killing ourselves. Alrighty, she's back in. Now I just have to hook up all the accoutrements. Well, first thing I gotta do is put the axles in, get the front drive wheels on. But this is a big deal. I'm getting ready to put the brake backer plates back on, and there's some shims in there. I had one shim that ended up looking like that. The other one's like this. First, I tried making it out of some aluminum, but that was kind of a pain in the butt. So I went to Napa and got a sheet of brass shim material and made a couple shims here. And essentially all I did is I traced them out, and then I used these Harbor Freight special shop scissors. And then I also used an old set of punches, gasket punches that I bought from Harbor Freight years ago, and punched the holes out here. Now, one tip on that: don't use a piece of soft pine. Find yourself a small piece of scrap oak. Um, Otherwise, with the pine, they'll just sink in, where all you need is one or two whacks with on the yoke and they'll punch them out. So we'll get to putting that stuff back together. All right, we're back. So this has got two bearings in there. So I've got that greased up initially. There's a grease zerk here that we're hit it with too. Now we got our outside race that goes on here. See if we can pop that in there halfway decent. Then we got the original shim on this side that goes in here. And then the brake plate. So what am I doing wrong here? That sits there. I think what I'll do is I'll use the bolts to get that to fit in there right. And then I'll back them back out and put the seal on it. Come on. Now here's the plate with the seal in it. Come on. All right, now we rinse and repeat on the other side. Okay, so now we get to put the hubs back on. First thing I did is I had to put the key in there. Then we're going to have to, whoa, I hope I can get back up. If you're over 50, you understand that. Anyway, let's lightly tap that in. Then we put our washer on. Then we put our castle nut on there. See how this goes. Swimmingly, I'm sure. Well, it's on there. I'll probably have to back that up a little bit. Now we'll do the other side. Time to put the front tires back on finally. Now, one problem I do have is I'm missing one lug nut. So I'm going to have to go see if Napa or somebody has one. Boy, these things weigh a ton. put the other one on, or when I went to put the other one on, let's put it that way, they were a little tight. Um, and it was a little tight. And the reason was they've been sitting here for 2 or 3 years. And even though I cleaned them up, the brake surface, because the brake drum's built into this, and even though I cleaned that all up, it had surface rusted. Now this one didn't as much. Brad re-zinc-plated these for me. One thing I did find out is on that zinc plating, if you take it after it's done, if you hit it with a wire wheel, makes it kind of shiny. So that's what I did with these. Now I'll leave one off of this. The other side's missing one because I'm short one, but I'll leave one off this so at some point here in the next few days I can go in and see if Napa's got one. There we go. Another milestone. Yay! It is finally back on 4 wheels. Imagine that. I think that's been 3.5, 4 years coming. I'd still like to replace those tires. But when I took the hydraulic valve off originally, there was a shouldered gasket here that literally fell apart in my hands when I took it off. So we're going to try this. I printed this on my 3D printer using TPU filament. We'll see if that works. Alrighty, she's back in place. I think she looks pretty good. Pretty solid. So hopefully nothing leaks. Okay, out with the old, in with the new. We got new hydraulic hoses going in. All right, we're gonna end this episode here. Obviously we got the drive tearing back in, started putting the various accoutrements back on, got the voltage regulator mounted, got the new hydraulic hoses fitted. What I've got left to do is get the throttle set up right. I'm having a little bit of trouble remembering exactly how that goes in. And then also I've got the choke spring, or not choke spring, clutch spring. It's got to go back in there, and I'm having a little, I'm gonna have to go back and look through some old videos and see if I can figure that out. I gotta shorten the new choke cable, and then I'm waiting for Napa to get me a couple of belts on it. I was just going to leave the one belt on it, but I realized it really should be running two, so I thought, well, if I'm going to replace one, I'm going to replace them both. So I've got to get that stuff done, and let me see. The Napa guy found some really close radiator hoses for me. So as soon as I get those belts on and everything, or get those in and get the radiator put back in. We're coming along bit by bit. I still have to find some new propane hoses, and I'm not going to put the old canister style oil filter back in. I'll show you what I'm going to do there, but I'm going to need to get some new oil hoses for it. And then I've got to get, well, actually it goes from here to under here. I've got to, there's a little water hose that runs under there and goes into the vaporizer. So, having said all that, getting that done, then I've got to clean up the steering column here and get that put back in, and then get the counterweight stripped and painted, which is going to be a pain. It's, you know, almost January here, so it's getting cold. It's really, I've had some great weather to work the last few days around Christmas, but it's getting cold again. Anyway, I got to get that on, and then the very last thing is this. I have to take that, strip it down, rebuild that cylinder, clean up the chains, make sure all the wheels are okay. And then the last two hoses I got to get replaced is this one and the main one. So, thanks for following along. Please subscribe and like and ring the bell. You know the drill. And I really appreciate everybody, any comments I get or anything like that. And till next time, we're keep things going here.